Welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. The Pharmacy Leaders Podcast is a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, with interviews and advice on building your professional network, brand, and a purposeful second income from students, residents, and innovative professionals.
Hey, welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast. I wanted to introduce someone who has created a fantastic podcast on YouTube. His name is Ahmed from the University of Iowa College of Pharmacy. And the next 5 days, you're going to hear one episode each day. And I encourage you to go to his channel to subscribe at YourPop, YourPop. It stands for the Your Pursuit of Purpose Podcast, where he interviews successful people and how they got down their leadership road. So hopefully you'll subscribe. 2,000 people already have in the last month. And here we go.
What's going on, guys? This is Ahmed again, and I'm here with episode 1 as promised. And I actually have the bright young individual that I was talking about in my previous video. So today I want to welcome Abdelwadood Daoud, and he's actually a senior mechanical engineering student at Iowa State University with a background in computer science and energy. And over the last few years, he has gained a multitude of unique experiences, and here are just a few of them. He entered at Tesla in California, where him and his team were able to save the company $3 million. I'm talking $3 million. Now that's not a number we can just throw around. So shout out to a dude for that. And he actually had the experience to teach English to homeless men in New Delhi, India, in a study abroad, as well as he carried out research on the most efficient energy system ever conceived at the National Energy Technology Laboratory. Now, with all this, Wadood also serves as the National Finance Chair for the National Society of Black Engineers. He's passionate about helping those around the world who haven't been dealt the best hands in life. Specifically, he believes anyone can change the course of their life with the right balance of learning, networking, and confidence. So, dude, before I dive into all your successes, just give me a little bit of a background and, who is Wadood and where are you from and everything?
Definitely. First off, I want to say thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It means a lot for you saying I'm a really intelligent young man. I think
that's true.
I think that's more of a function of the people around me throughout my life. Also, viewers, I want to make sure that we applaud this young man for taking the leap forward to do something like this. He brought up the concept to me a few days ago, and within a week, Ahmed is making the Pursuit of Purpose podcast real, and I think that's a really big testament to the type of person he is.
Appreciate it.
Your question was telling you a little bit about myself.
Absolutely. Just give the audience a little bit of background.
Okay. Yeah. So my parents are from Sudan. They migrated over here probably over 25 years ago. I was born in Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia specifically, and then moved to Iowa when I was about 7 months old. And I've been there ever since. Was raised in Iowa City, Iowa, with a family where we, mitigated the interesting space that is a Sudanese family in America, especially for first generation. I have 2 older siblings and 3 younger siblings. Wow. And now I'm at Iowa State, studying mechanical engineering on the home stretch and figuring out where my life's going to go after that.
Yeah, and so, dude, how did you decide that I want to be a mechanical engineering student?
Definitely. I think that's a really good question. I think engineering was something that was kind of in my blood in a way. I grew up with, my dad was always really entrepreneurial and always really hands-on. So I remember when I was maybe in 3rd grade, he had an auto body shop where he would fix cars, and I knew that I liked to be hands-on and I wanted to be in that space when I would get jealous because him and my big brother would do all the work and they didn't let me do anything.
Sure.
But when I got to high school, I don't know if you've heard of Project Lead the Way.
Right.
It's a
Maybe
program.
explain that.
Yeah, Project Lead the Way is a program. I'm not sure if it's still there at Iowa City West High School, but it was a program where students in high school were able to deep dive into engineering programs, whether it be aerospace engineering, mechanical engineering, or CAD. It was really just a good experience to immerse yourself in that engineering field. And after that class, I had a great professor or teacher in Dominic Adia, and he really showed me, it kind of ignited my passion for engineering. And I didn't know which space or direction I wanted to go in, and I felt like mechanical was the most broad route. So I chose to go with mechanical engineering, and looking back at it, I feel like I couldn't have made a better decision.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. And Wadood, so what I want to go through, so I'm just going to go through like each experience that you've had. And we can start out actually with what you did at Tesla, because I think that's magnificent. One of the most progressive tech companies out there.
Yeah.
You know, we think Tesla, Elon Musk, he's doing everything.
Yeah, definitely.
So in terms of your internship, so maybe you can take us back to how you actually landed this internship, or co-op it was, right?
Uh-huh.
And maybe the experience, maybe the day in the life of a Tesla intern.
Yeah.
What you were doing there.
Okay, for sure.
Because we're talking $3
First
million.
off, yeah. First off, Tesla is that amazing company, and I want to make sure that before I start talking about it, that I say that, you know, while I have had these successes, it's not my own doing, but really people around me like Ahmed and a bunch of my other friends and my parents who believe in me and have shown me that I have potential in these areas that have allowed me to kind of move forward and go for it, per se. Yeah. But anyone who knows me knows that I'm extremely passionate about LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah.
I've given presentations on LinkedIn. I want everyone to have a LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn, it takes 5 minutes. Get a LinkedIn. But what I did is I had a conversation about 8 months before I got my Tesla internship, where I was sitting down with one of my friends, Cutler Simpson, and I said, I want to work at Tesla, and I'm going to do what I can to get there. And at the time, I promise you, I had nothing on my resume, and I was the worst example of a potential Tesla intern. But I figured first thing I would do is figure out how I can get some automotive experience. So I went into a car dealership, Carousel Nissan, Highway 1 in Iowa City, and I walked in there. So I thought I was applying for a bigger job than I was. So I went in there with a resume and like cover letter and like walked up to the guy and I was like, hey, my name is Wadood. I'm really passionate about the automotive industry. I'd love a position with you guys. I don't know what you have available, but I'd love to do it. And the guy like kind of takes my resume and he's like, well, this wasn't that necessary, but if you want, we have this guy who can drive the cars and, you know, park the cars and deliver cars. If you want to do that, sure. So I did it, and it was probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. I just drove cars a lot of the time. But fast forward, you know, once school started, I realized that I had to start engaging with, you know, clubs that were in the same space as Tesla, and also starting to develop the leadership that could set me apart from everyone else. So I got into the solar car team at Iowa State, the Prism solar car team, and I was able to do some work with them where I learned about, you know, efficiency with vehicles, also the building process and teamwork with respect to the automotive industry. And then when I was about, let's say, 4 or 5 months away from feeling I felt like I was a good candidate for an internship at Tesla, I reached out to someone who a friend of mine had connected me with, and he was a manager there, and I said, here's my resume. Please tell me what I could do to make me a better candidate for the position in a few months.
And how did you reach out to that individual?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
LinkedIn. So I reached out to him on LinkedIn, and I said, can you tell me, you know, X, Y, and Z that I need to do better to become a great candidate for this position? And he was amazing, reached back out to me, probably 4 or 5 messages, until he said, these are the things that I think you should work on. And long story short, I was on the... I also became the vice president of my chapter at Iowa State University for the NSBE chapter, which gave me the leadership experience necessary when I felt like I was ready to really engage with Tesla recruiters. You might think I'm exaggerating. You can ask any of my roommates, but I probably connected and messaged over 100 recruiters.
Wow.
And every single one of them, I said the exact same thing, that I feel like I'm a good candidate. I've been told I should work on this, this, and that to become better. I have. Here you go. And I got like 3 responses, maybe 7 responses. Like, it was very discouraging. But I was on the airplane. Just, you know, right when you land on an airplane, I was going to a NSBE conference and you start getting your messages.
Yeah.
I see one from a great man. He's actually a recruiter at a different company now. But it was an email that said, hey, one of my colleagues has put, your resume has basically, you know, come across my desk. I'd love to sit and chat. And this whole time I'm thinking we're actually going to chat, you know, like, hey, Wadood, like, how's the weather? You know, what's school like, all that. Within a minute, it was like, so why do you think you should work at Tesla? I was like, oh, so this is one of those types of things. Anyway, we had a really good conversation. We really vibed with each other. And I think I got that. I got the email on Sunday or Saturday, set up the call on Tuesday, and accepted my offer by Friday. So in terms of, it was so beautiful because it was one of the first times that I've been able to see like one of my goals come to fruition. You know what I mean? Like, it was really big for me because it was just like, this was not supposed to happen. Like, there's no way that you say you're going to work at Tesla and you do. But it came down to just people kind of believing in me, and that last email kind of solidified, like, hey, you know, even though I sent 100 messages and got 3 to 7 responses, someone read it. And I'm not getting an internship for 100 people. I really need to work for one person. So it really just showed me the value of LinkedIn and the fact that really that anything can happen.
And that really shows you, like, when he talks about everything that he said he didn't feel like he was in the position to get this internship.
Oh,
you didn't think it was
no one does.
No one, exactly. But the fact is, you're very good at communicating. And that's one of Wadood's strengths. Ever since I've met him, he's just he's a very effective communicator. So this is just
that.
a product of that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. And so when you got to Tesla, tell us maybe what you were doing. Because $3 million, like I can't fathom that number.
All right,
that's not
so
like a few thousand.
with all these NDAs that we sign with these companies, I feel like we signed our lives away. So I'm going to be very smart with this answer.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Got to Tesla, and I'm not lying. My first week there, they put me on work instructions. And I don't know if anybody knows what work instructions are, but think of going to, let's say you went to someone at McDonald's and they're making sandwiches, right?
Right.
Standard work procedures are critical for really big companies to be able to manage the processes that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was watching people do the same thing over and over again and writing it down. Writing it down and writing it down. And finally, after a few days, here's a document of exactly what you need to do this job. Great, no problem. However, I didn't exactly expect that as a, dang, I'm finally going to Tesla. Like, this is going to be crazy. I didn't expect to do work instructions.
Yeah.
So I got there, did the work instructions for a week, and I went to my manager and I said, with all due respect, sir, I don't care if I have to work 20 hours a week, but I was hoping to solve some bigger problems, I think is the wording that I used. And my manager was amazing, and what we did is we walked around the factory, and we started defining problems, and he found a problem that he thought was important, which I was supposed to focus on. And within, a week or two, my team and myself were able to really solve that problem, or at least put a really big dent in it. Mm-hmm. And after that, he gave me full autonomy in terms of what I could do. So the work, day to day turned into being, a lot of process optimization. Tesla was at a point where the Model 3 was about to come out. So they needed to make sure that they could eliminate the inefficiencies that they had today. Mm-hmm. Because when you're making 100,000 cars, it's expensive with inefficiencies. And when you're making 500,000 cars, it's even more expensive. The economies of scale and whatnot. Of course. So my work came a lot with, process optimization. I brought into some of my software background into the mix where I automated some of their processes for production reporting. And then also just a little bit of mechanical design work just to make things a little bit better. One thing that I do want to know with Tesla is, a lot of people think that, there's no work-life balance. And my theory on that is you kind of decide how you want to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And my story for that is my manager on my third week of work, I came in 8:15, and he comes in with a smart remark hey, dude, back in my day, I used to come before my boss and I used to leave after my boss. And I was like, I'm hourly, So that turned into me working 15, 16 hours a day, which is, normally would be really stressful.
It's excruciating.
Excruciating, yeah, that's probably a good word too. But in this situation, I promise, I really loved the work I was doing. I had a team that really believed in what we were doing, and we were solving problems. So 15-hour days felt like 8-hour days, honestly, and that's what I did. I tried to fix a lot of problems. That's how you save money, is by fixing problems, and it scaled pretty well. We ended up basically optimizing maybe 4 processes and moving the whole process or a set of processes to a different area so that we could create space for Model 3.
Wow.
With no specifics, that's how the numbers worked like that.
Gotcha. And then it ended up being $3 million.
I think they heard it. I think
that's insane.
It's me and my team. I can't discredit that. We had 2 great interns in Shashank Goli and John Georges. John Ritter was our manager. Jake Layton. There's some great people on that team who really helped make that happen. But
no, that's awesome. And as you guys can, if you recall to what he said, he talked about communicating with his manager because you were doing the work instructions.
Biggest thing that you can do for one of your internships is set up weekly, bi-weekly meetings with your managers and figure out what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. And then see if you can align that with anything that you're looking for. So my manager, while I said I didn't want to do work instructions, the fact that I told him I wanted to solve a bigger problem, that aligned perfectly with his job because he's looking to solve, hey, we do have these big problems. Mm-hmm. You said you want to do it. An intern normally wouldn't get to do this, but let's try it. Gotcha. So just having those conversations and trying to reiterate, the second week, third week in, hey, this is what I'm working on. I'm not that happy with it. Can you make it better? Because in the end, they want that experience to be the best possible experience for you. And at the same time, you want to provide the most value to your manager.
Absolutely. No, without a doubt. Yeah. And Wadood, so if we can just kind of give us a little bit of if you can give just the audience some advice, so people who are potentially currently studying to be engineers and they're looking to land their first internship, because that was your first technical internship.
Yeah. Kind of, right? I worked for the Department of Energy for a year before that.
Okay.
That was more, it was an internship, but it was very research focused. So,
okay. So this was your first official one.
Definitely.
So how did you, what was the point, where Tesla was all right, this is the guy we want. How did they know? Yeah. Or how did you make it seem like there's no one better than me for this position?
Yeah.
How did you articulate that within your CV, your resume? What was the selling point?
So the biggest overarching thing that I'll say so that I can provide the most value is LinkedIn. And I'm going to probably say that we're not even done yet. I'll say it 15 more times before we're done. LinkedIn. So how do you go about navigating the fact that you don't have all the experience necessary to getting a position? Basically, is the question, right? First off, I would want to say that you leverage LinkedIn not to just get a referral. I don't even think I've gotten a referral through LinkedIn.
Wow.
Genuinely. I don't think I've ever asked someone to refer me on LinkedIn. But what you do, or what I do, is I make sure within the first 2 lines to say why I'm contacting them. Hey, Recruiter X, I'm looking forward to engaging with you to discuss potential internship opportunities here. Okay? And then the next thing is, instead of asking for a referral, what I love asking is, attached is my resume. Could you take a look at it and maybe give me 3 things that I could do better? Okay? 3 things you could do better. So then you do those 3 things. You come back to the recruiter a month later. Hey, I did those 3 things. Can you look at my resume again? Tell me if there's a few things you could do better. Maybe after that second engagement, that second or third message, you say, hey, look, I'm really interested in this position, and I've fixed my resume. I've put myself in a situation that I feel fits me for this position, and I'd love to discuss it and get on the phone for 10 minutes, something like that, you know? But at the same time, the recruiter's going to see, hey, this kid is, you know, every single company you work for knows as an intern that you don't know anything. You know, like we can say whether we have engineering classes, whatever, sure.
Right.
You don't know anything of what you're going into. So what they're really looking for is the ability to learn, you know? And so in terms of advice, I would say reach out to people and show them that you're willing to learn. You know, you're not perfect. Nothing about you is perfect, but you want to be the best person for that job.
Absolutely.
I think after that, so, you know, we've gotten to the point that you might be able to get an interview. I think the single most important question in any interview, and you can ask any of my roommates this, it was told to me by one of my friends. After every single interview, the last question that you should ask is there anything that you've seen from myself, either professionally or from my resume, that you think is hindering me from being a good candidate for this position? The reason that question is so good is because the first thing is, let's say they either say, yeah, there are a few things. You should fix A, B, and C. Sure, no problem. What you're going to do is you're going to go back, you're going to work on A, B, and C, and you're going to message that recruiter in 3 months, however long it took you to accomplish A, B, and C, and the conversation is going to be much different, you know, because, hey, I wasn't a good candidate for this position, but then I fixed everything that you said I need to do to become a good candidate for this position. Pretty excited to start working with you. You know, something, obviously, that's a little extra, but still. And on the back end, what you'll get sometimes is no, everything checks out. And you say, okay, well, I was just wondering, when can I expect to hear back? Because really, they basically told you that, right? Either they said, yeah, you're perfect, we want to hire you.
Right.
Or they say, you're not perfect, you need to work on these things. And then you make yourself perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really, you just need to put yourself in a mindset where you don't understand everything. You know you're not going to know everything. And you want to utilize and leverage the systems that we have to learn what you're lacking. Wow. After that, after you know what you need to do, it's up to you kind of, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, without a doubt. Man, those were some really powerful.
That last one, hey, that last interview question, write it down. That's changed interviews for me.
Repeat it one more time, because I want to hear it again.
Is there anything that you've seen from myself, either professionally or maybe through my resume, that you think is holding me back from being a great candidate for this position? You can spice it in whatever ways you want, but...
That sounded really good, though. I like that a lot.
It's the microphone.
No, that's awesome. Well, I don't want to drag on this first... I guess I'm going to bring you back for part 2 and because, man, I need to get through this Wadood story because, man, this individual right here, he's just doing everything. He's literally doing everything. So it's time to end this first episode with, for everyone, and I hope you guys did enjoy kind of learning how this individual has his success story or a part of it, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode where I'm going to interview him for his experience in New Delhi, India, as well as working for the Department of Energy.
Awesome.
And maybe you can tell him the story about how you met your research mentor as well, because I heard that story and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
All right. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Support for this episode comes from the audiobook Memorizing Pharmacology, a relaxed approach. With over 9,000 sales in the United States, United Kingdom, and Australia, it's the go-to resource to ease the pharmacology challenge. Available on Audible, iTunes, and Amazon.com, in print, ebook, and audiobook. Thank you for listening to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. Be sure to share the show with the hashtag #PharmacyLeaders.